out there in TV land.
Yeah, my project got delayed because Timeout lost my first shipment of the materials that I ordered. I got this sealer, this foam stuff to seal around the edges of the top and the side whenever it closes. And so I got my plywood on there, and I put a couple of temporary screws in there. I'll have to take them back out once I get ready to put my linoleum down. But at this point, I'm ready to start putting it back together. I did get a new tent canvas, so it'll be in good shape. I may wind up, like I said, replacing the floor for the bed. I'll just have to see how well it works out. But at this point, project's back up and going, and hopefully I can get some progress made. I'll keep you updated. Well, it's a beautiful day in Indiana, and as you can see, I got the rubber all stapled on all the way around the new top, and Timeout has this down to a science. As you can see, this is how much I have left over off of what they sent me. So they've got that probably pre-cut more than likely, but there you can see the rubber seal is all the way around it. I'm ready to get started putting this thing back together. I went back and looked at the video, and this piano hinge cover was underneath of the rubber, so I had to pull a couple of staples out to be able to feed it through. It wraps around on the inside of the trailer, so don't make the same mistake I did. This stuff goes on the inside, you'll need to put it on first before you put the rubber on. Make it a lot simpler for you. But I overcame the mistake and moving on, getting ready to staple this down now. Okay, what I'm doing here is basically lining up the top to be able to put that rack up there on the top of the camper, and then pre-drill my holes for the rack. The holes were already in the aluminum, so I just basically lined it up to with the holes that was on the rack, and then now I'm opening it up and putting the T-bolts in there, T-nuts where they go, based on the holes that I drilled in the top itself. So they have to go on the inside. That's why the floor is not down yet. Hey, what's going on, everybody? As I explained in the previous section, I stapled this top down so that I could drill my holes for my T-nuts. Well, I just did it temporarily, and I've removed the two staples that I had in each end to hold it down. And I got this flex glue, and I'm hoping it ain't set up so much I can't squeeze anything out of it, but it's a super thick, and it's supposed to be instant bonding, so I'm hoping that will hold this top down. I'm just going to put it out here in the middle where the rack's not at. I don't think it's even necessary on the sides, more or less just to stabilize the middle part of this so it don't come up and down. But then once I get that done, I'll be able to put my rack back on it and put my sides back on, and then finish up the floor on the other side, and I should be done with the top replacement. So I'm going to get started, and I'll speed this process up by time-lapsing it. Thanks. Okay, as you take the camper apart, basically you'll notice that there are spots where they've used stuff to seal up where the screw holes are at. And right now I'm just cleaning these up, so I thought I'd give you an idea what that looks like. But basically they put this stuff, about 4 to 6 inch strip of it, right where they drilled their holes to mount this rack on with. And I've got this stuff that I bought it. You can get this at the RV store, but it's basically like clay or putty, I guess. And it's made for windows and RVs and that kind of stuff. But that's what you're going to want to use. It also goes along this rail right here where the trim piece goes. You'll want to run a full strip there and a full strip along this edge here, so that it seals that aluminum up and you won't have any leaks. That's where I'm at right now, and I'm trying to get this cleaned up, and I won't bore you with cleaning it up, but basically I'm going to clean it up, put some of this goop on there, and then continue on with putting this back together. I got my T-bolts in there. I think I mentioned that earlier. So really, once I get this rack all cleaned up and ready to mount, it'll go fairly quickly, I hope. So this time I've basically put in the small pieces of caulk to seal up where the holes are at for the rack. And on the rack I got it cleaned up really well. If you've never used Colonel Brassy, some pretty good stuff to clean up aluminum and chrome. It's a little abrasive, but it's not bad. So now I'm ready to put this on and screw it down. And somewhere on here I had a piece that showed rear, but I can't see it now, so I just have to make sure these line up right. I think it goes the other way. Make sure your holes line up with the holes that are there. And I've got some new 3/4 inch stainless steel screws to use. Here's my drill. Actually want to start these with a regular screwdriver just to be certain that they don't get strips cross-threaded. After I tighten the screws down, you can see the caulk or the putty squeezed out of the edges of the rack, which is a good thing. That way you know you got a good seal, and it did that all the way around. So I'm in good shape and ready to move on to the next thing. I thought I'd show you a piece of this trim on the inside. That's, I don't know if you can see how dirty and grimy that is, but Colonel Brassy is kind of it's an abrasive type of stuff, but it cleans chrome, copper, stainless steel, aluminum, silver, gold, about anything, but it's a real fine sand-like stuff that's inside here with some liquid, and you shake it up pretty good, put it on a rag, and that stuff comes right off of there. This is the rag I've been using, and you can see it's kind of filthy, but I just make sure and shake this stuff up real good because that sand settles to the bottom. You can either put it on the rag, or this one here I'm just going to put inside the track because it's easier. But you can see it's kind of a white stuff that has a little bit of a grit to it. And then you just run your hand over it. Kind of give it a little bit of a rub. And it will clean that stuff right up. So that's what I've been doing here the last hour or so, just cleaning this stuff up. Because this has to have that same caulking, that RV caulk around the edge of these holes and seals up that edge of the aluminum. So it has to be a good seal, and you can't have a lot of dirt stuff in there, so I've just been cleaning this stuff up. And as you can see, just that little bit. It's hard to get in that crease right there, but this right here is the part that, I guess this is the part that'll go down against the trailer. But so there you can kind of see how it cleaned it up. I got all the trim on. I thought I'd point out this little detail here. When you put the caulk behind this trim piece, you get stuff that squeezes out. And I don't know how well you can see right now, but I'll try to get a close up here in a second. But there's some of this, it's a RV putty for windows basically, but you have to be really careful not to cut this vinyl when you're trimming that off. So let me get a close up real fast here. You can see the extra right there. The bottom part, not so much to worry about because you're going against the aluminum to cut it with, but when you go to cut this extra stuff off of here, that squeezes out when it's good, makes a good seal. Make sure and just be extra careful. You can see I did the top one, but I've still got a little bit left on there. And over time, that'll get probably pretty dirty and you'll wind up wanting to clean it up again. But basically, everything I've got done so far is I've got all the trim all the way around it. Got my latches back on there. And I've got the tops screwed tight down. Everything's done except for the inside. I'll be putting the vinyl on the floor here for long. I've got a couple screws still that I need to put in here, and then there's some snaps that goes on the sides too that I'll need to reposition and make sure I get them in the right spot, but that's just a minute detail. All right, that's it for now. Well, I appreciate you watching. If you got any questions or anything, comment below. This pretty much wraps up my renovation for the top. I will have another video out shortly regards to replacing the tent canvas, and a nice little trick for your tent poles to help them to slide easier. So again, I hope you appreciated it. I tried to give as much detail without boring you to death as I possibly could. And like I said, if you have any questions, just leave me a comment below. Have a good one.
Hasta la vista, baby.